Well, now we'll see something called as property binding. Let me have this much, right? Let me have this much, and here you can say property binding. Name itself suggesting you property binding. Properties would be bound, right? I'll show you one scenario, right over here. So I would be having input type, right, and here I can say one variable IP type, and just of type string, and presently I can say this dot IP type is equals to, right, what you can say, button. This dot IP type is equals to what? Button. This dot IP type is equals to what? Button. And here I would be saying IP type, but still you are not referring to the value. Still you are not referring to the value, but you are referring to just name IP type. If you want to refer to the value, you need to have interpolation in between that. First way, IP type. Now if I run the code and say property binding, some error is there. What's that? Value, I can say okay, and name I don't need to have. IP type, IP type is equals to button, input type is equals to button. Well, that's fine. Why the error is? Let us see in the console what they are saying. The page division is already closed. Extra page division, is that? Yes. See, here you are getting button. Sorry, it shouldn't be over here. It should be in another row, right? There would be another row for that. Dot row dot col md and the 12, and into that you can have h3, right? You can have what? H3, and here I can say property binding, right? And one page division is missing, right? Property binding, and here I can say input type is equals to IP type, and here I can say okay, and let me remove these two things, and here you would be getting some error. Unexpected closing div, this one. Okay, so this is a container. To this container we don't have any page division, so for this it is this, for this it is this. Okay, this is extra. This is extra, right? Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. See, here you are getting okay. So what did you do? Right, to the type you have assigned value of IP type by using interpolation. What interpolation gives you? Interpolation gives you value. So here it is a value. You are assigning what? Value. But there is another way also, right? So you can have write into the page division, and into this page division you can say this. I would be having one more page division, and into that page division let me copy this and paste it. Right now I am going to add what you can say, you are saying this type would be accepting, or this type property of the input element would be accepting the value IP type, something like this. Huh? Meaning are the same, but this is called as property binding. You are binding value of IP type to this, what you can say, property type. You are binding value of IP type to this. So here you can say two buttons, OK and OK. Binding property of element with some value. So IP type is not the name, it's actually value button. So here is IP type and here is this thing. Similarly, you can get bound with n number of what you can say properties which are built in, right? So here you can say if you want to have some style dot border is equals to style dot border is equals to, here itself I can write. So this need to be string, that's why I'm writing in the quotes. See 1px solid red. Right now see, here you would be getting border to this. Style dot border, what I'm saying, style dot border. So every HTML element has the style, into that you are referring to what, border, and here you are assigning the value. Okay, this value can be over here, right? I can say border is equals to of type string, and here you can write this dot border is equals to 1px solid red. See, this value can be coming from the server. Server can send some data, you can assign. So dynamically element creation is very easily possible because of this, right? And straight away I can say border, something like this, right? Border, and you are saying border like this, right? Yes, fine, no problem. Yeah. So style dot border and this input type. So you have input type over here, right? You have input type like this. So here you have used the data binding, and here you have used input binding or property binding. Any doubt on this? Yes. So see the difference between interpolation and property binding. Multiple? Yes, multiple styles. Then there is something called as ng class. There is a separate directive, something called as ng class. So you can write multiple styles separated by space. In that case, that will see in the directive, right? But did you get this thing? So here you can pass variable value border, something like this, border. Okay, completed or got the idea? Something? Yeah. So this concept is called as property binding. Any property you can get bound with, any property. Fine, then that is about the CSS. You are applying CSS, but this value can be coming on the server. Now I'll show you what I want to do. Right, what I want to do. Okay, for that you need to know button click listener. So I'm not going to event binding presently. At the time of event binding, I'll show you what I mean to say. Yes. Yeah, that's not an issue. So here you are getting bound to the properties by means of rect brackets, and here it is expecting the variable name or value in the quotes, okay. Now my question is that I have my own input element or I have my own component, right? Now let me create my own one component. What you can say, so cd data binding. Let me go in the data binding, and here I can say ngc, right, and you can say IP input, right, IP, and this would be flat component. I would be having this thing as what, flat, right, and inline style IT and IS, inline style and inline template, IT and IS. Hit the enter. So it would be creating two files inline, right? So this component would be having inline template and inline style. That's fine. Now what I want to do is that in the data binding HTML, right, I would be having over here, I would be having one more page division, and into this page division I am going to have IP component. Let me just get this IP and paste it over here. So it is a IP component, right? So I have written the IP component. Now why don't you think that here it would be having some input to the your component? What I'm saying, to your component you should have, what you can say, your own input property. To your component there should be one input property. You can say here, you can say anything like address, right? You are saying what, if input tag can have type as a property, why not your component has one property? Are you getting my concern? So you have created your own component, and that component is having address as a property. So how to do that thing? So this will give you nothing. IP works because HTML5 says that custom attributes are allowed. Custom attributes is a feature of HTML5. So this is a custom attribute, but still it is not input to your component. It is not giving you error because it's a custom attribute. Now if you want to make it input, just go to your that component particular, right, and here you are going to name it. Here you can say address is that thing which is of type string. Address is of type string, and this need to annotate by something called as one annotation at input, right, and over here I can say input at input. So this is the field level annotation or field level metadata or field level decorator. So this is also one decorator, this much, but there is a class level decorator, right? This is field level decorator. Field is nothing but your class field. That field level decorator is at input, and here you are saying, what you can say, this is the input field. So here I can get bound with the input tag, and here I can say in Pune. Address would be what, in Pune. Now I want to print that address over here, right? It is a markup. So here you can say page division, and sorry, you can say dot row, right? This is a TS file, yes, but template is inline, right? You have inline template here, yes, here as well. If your component is having 2 to 3 line markup, you don't need to create a separate HTML, right? You can write here itself everything, right? So here you can say dot container, then I can say dot row, then I can say dot colmd12, and here I can say address is, can I point to that address, right? That address should be coming h1, sorry, h3 or h simple, fine. That address is assigned address, and you would be injecting that address from this component. So in Pune would be getting assigned to this address variable, and you are just printing that address variable, right? And here you have printed app this thing. See what happens is that error. So in Pune would be the string, right? We have seen in Pune would be the string, otherwise that will give you the error. Otherwise that will consider this thing as a variable, so that would be the string, and here address is in Pune. So if I change something over here, right, in Mumbai, so here you can say in Mumbai. See what you did? You created one component called as input component. To that input component you have one input variable, or you have one property to that component, and name of that property would be the address, right? It is absolutely not necessary that this name and this name should be same, or whatever this name is there, right? I can say add, right? And that should be, this variable name can be anything xyz, but you need to say that, so that is nothing but the add. So whatever incoming is, right, whatever variable name is there to that property, that variable name need to be assigned like this over here, add and the address string, and you are just printing that address over here. See, still it is printing the address. We need to this class, yes. So this is already given to you by VS Code, right? This would be given to you by VS Code. Okay, just add something like this. This might be saying write in line. Why it is giving me some syntax error? No input name. No input rename. Okay. So generally it is a good practice that, right, it is a good practice that whatever your input name is here, that is the only variable name over here. That's a good practice, but you can reverse that in this fashion as well. You can alter that in this fashion as well, right? So this is what you can say about at input, assigning some data to the predefined properties of the elements and creating your own, what you can say, properties, right? So in the next tutorial I'll explain what do you mean by event binding.